still, yes, still think, because I know Bridget tells me that we got 10,000 people watching live every month.
Yeah, sure.
And another 1.3 million followers a week after these meetings. And if that's not the case, I want those numbers up to that within a month.
Right at 7:30, you should be able to.
Okay, and now that I was busting your chops, I gotta say, I'm gonna steal her thunder a little bit. The monthly digital newsletter that went out on Tuesday the 3rd, within 24 hours, we had more open the emails and more clicks on the link than we had for the whole month of August on August's newsletter.
Fantastic. I received it.
Gain momentum and subscribe. Okay. So, Mark, do you give me the high sign, or?
I think we're good.
All right. Now it is 7:30. So I want to welcome everybody to the September 5th, 2024 Webster Town Board meeting. We will come to order. The Pledge of Allegiance.
You're welcome.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Deneen, can you roll, please?
Supervisor Flaherty,
Here.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Present.
Councilman Cahill,
Here.
Councilwoman Wynn,
Here.
Councilwoman Wright, here, Town Attorney Johnson.
Present.
Before we start, because we have some people that can, is any,
Doug and Patty, did you want to speak at the public hearing?
Yeah, we're here to speak. Yeah. No,
Okay.
no.
Just because we asked people to sign in, so we would notify everybody.
No, we're good, Patty, thank you.
sure?
Okay, thank you.
Well, the St. Jude benefit is canceled Saturday.
And you should let everybody know
Yeah,
about
it's
that.
all over the website
And
today.
hopefully the weather's going to be good,
Town,
but I don't want to steal your thunder, you can let everybody know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before I open the public.
So we have a public hearing tonight, and I had prepared a few comments because I really expected there to be more people here to question this and be skeptical of it. We are spending a lot of money, and for people who are perhaps haven't been keeping up with it, not as informed as we'd hope they would be, I would expect questions. But since there is no one here to speak at the public hearing tonight, as the supervisor said, I realize that we've got millions of followers and 10,000 viewers tonight. So I will address those people who are probably, hopefully, watching, because we don't want this room to be empty and people aren't paying attention to what we're doing. So I want to recognize that there are people out there who are probably questioning the expenditure of additional funds on our hot sewer department project. And first of all, I need to focus on, because I do know that we have fellow village residents here tonight. And for those who maybe don't know, that there are separate sewer departments between town and village. So that is something that was decided in the past, and now we're moving forward with our plan. So there's a handout that has been given to everyone tonight, whether they wanted it or not, that explains, it clearly shows why this investment is a good thing for Webster taxpayers. And a little bit of history: at its inception, the capital project was intended to be a $31 million asset renewal project only. We were just going to fix the stuff that wasn't working anymore, that was rotting, and you hear us every week, we're surplusing things and sending it to recycle because there was a lot of equipment that needed to be updated. So as we explored options of upgrading and installing new systems, we recognized the benefit of creating a service that would result in revenue to the town by providing the opportunity to accept outside waste. At that time, we passed a resolution to expand the scope and cost, resulting in a $44 million capital project with new technology. As circumstances evolved, it became known that Project ISO which would later be known to the town as Coca-Cola Fairlife, was considering Webster for the establishment of its new facility with specialty dairy waste, due in part because we could provide the technology to treat their high-strength organic waste. It was clear that changes to the project were necessary to be able to process the plant's output. In 2023, there was a resolution approved to increase the project amount to $81.5 million in order to apply for a grant. At that time, the town was unsure of the specifics of Fairlife's flow. Now, just over a year later, we do have these specifics related to Fairlife's output, and we know that the total project cost to transform our plant into a water resource recovery facility is $87.3 million. While the impact of Fairlife increases the cost of this project, it has a much larger and long-standing impact on what the town of Webster will receive through flow revenue and tie-in fees directly from Coca-Cola Fairlife. The town has diligently worked to ensure this project is not balanced on the backs of Webster taxpayers. And I have said many times at multiple meetings, no one carried that farther and harder and put more energy into receiving a $20 million grant from the state than our supervisor. He was determined that we would receive assistance from the state. And this has put Webster's new water resource recovery facility in a position, the town is now in a position to partner with Coke Fairlife and other revenue sources to benefit residents and the taxpayers for years to come.
Thanks, Becky.
Well, as sewer liaison, I felt that it was important that I deliver that message.
I'm glad you did that. Well, for anybody who's ever attended a public hearing, there's some formality to it, right, Attorney Janessi? I am going to drop the mallet, so to speak, and open it. And at this point, usually we look to see who is signed in to speak at the public hearing. And
What's her name?
We were, I gotta be honest with you, I'm at a loss for words, but you know, yeah, believe it or not.
Somebody please take note of that.
So I'll say it again, nobody is signed in to speak at the public hearing regarding the sewer project. But I also, as people have sat in this room for the last 5-10 minutes, if they've changed their mind on that.
Yeah, a little bit.
I beg your pardon?
I have. I would like to
This is
speak.
going to be interesting because Michelle Anderson, by all means, a village resident. I'm very interested to see what a village resident who will not be paying for this sewer plant. I can't speak to what your village sewer plant is going to be,
Yeah.
but by all means, you are also a town resident.
Yes, and I'll still speak at the other part of the
I had no doubt that you
Okay.
would.
Funny man.
All right, and this is Michelle Anderson.
Good evening, everybody. I hope all of you are better information.
Michelle, speak into the microphone a little bit more so that everyone can hear you.
Sure.
Thanks. Thank
Good
you.
evening. The only thing I have to say about the sewer would be from the village perspective. And I had raised the question a month or two ago to one of the officials in the village and said, should it ever become necessary for the village to tie into the town sewer system? Is there a plan in place for that? And has there been money set aside for that? And the answer was no. And I said, well, what if that should happen? And it really wasn't a reply. So I disagree with the fact that the village chose not to tie into the sewer with the town. Very unfortunate. And I worry that should it ever become necessary, the village residents are going to pay a high penalty for that. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Michelle.
Would anybody else like to? Well, on that note, I'm going to close the public hearing and move on to the next agenda item, which is the open to the mic, I'll call it. That's more comedy show, but tonight we have two people that have signed in. We get to take the podium and speak for up to 5 minutes on anything your heart desires. And our first speaker is Dave Malecki.
Thanks.
Sure.
I've got a prepared statement. I'll show you this to come first.
Sure.
Try to get it from the cell phones.
There's actually good handwriting.
But can you hear me?
Sure.
I'm Dave Malecki. I live in West Webster. And been living there around the for the last 35 plus years. Okay, simply put, the Ironquake Bay outlet should be bridged 24/7, 365. Local officials in Webster, Arundecoid, and the rest of Monroe County need to work together to achieve that. A 50-yard long pedestrian bridge, similar in design to the one now being constructed in Brockport, should do it. If you need money to support that concept, please add it to the 2025 budget. Thanks, Dave Black.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave. And actually, I'm going to go and look at what they're doing in Rockport.
I just wrote it down to go look
Yeah,
and see
just
what they're
add
doing
that.
there, because I wasn't aware either of what's going on in Rockport.
And for the record, that's the most consistent person I've ever met. And I mean that as a compliment.
Thank you.
You're all in. I like that. And then next up is Michelle Anderson.
Hello again. This is information that was sent to me by a friend who lives in Parma and was at a demonstration of the new voting machines at the Parma Town Hall yesterday. And it reads, Monroe County has purchased 1,000 of the ES&S Express Vote XL touchscreen voting machine for around $12 million. These machines are significantly more expensive, can cause delays during elections, and, more importantly, provide an additional gateway for potential error and fraud. During a demonstration of these new machines at the Parma Town Hall yesterday, it was revealed that the new machines have indeed been purchased and are sitting in a warehouse somewhere in Monroe County. These new machines will begin to make their way to Monroe County precincts in March 2025. Experts and good government groups say these machines will change New York's entire way of voting, undermine confidence, and vastly increase costs because the Express Vote XL is one of the most expensive on the market. They warn of longer lines to vote because they say that when everyone votes on a computerized ballot marker, everyone waits longer. Many people in the community and around New York State oppose this new machine, but sadly, only those who diligently look for what is being purchased are even aware of what is coming. It is the opinion of some who have been pushing back against the purchase of these machines that this purchase is taking us in the exact wrong direction for administering elections in Monroe County and New York State. Because these machines are bought, likely paid for, and on a site in Monroe County with a laid-out plan to be deployed beginning in 2025, education plans and public activities teaching why these voting machines are wrong for Monroe County and sought to block the purchase ended last evening with the learning of this information. I know little about it. I received notice that this was going to be taking place and I couldn't make the presentation. But I will say, I agree with it. I'm one of the people that think we should go back to the paper ballots and the old machines with the crank and the curtains closed. Anything electronic can be tampered with, and I think we all know that. And I think we also understand that the people in Washington are not running this country, and the people who are running this country are people we don't even know their names, and it's very dangerous, and it's going to get worse. The other thing that I would like to mention is that the money that has been spent to supply illegal aliens to retrofit hotels and motels in Monroe County, and I'm speaking specifically about Hillhaven, I want to know why that money was spent, and it was taxpayer money, and why it hasn't been spent to retrofit those facilities for our homeless veterans who have served this country honorably, and they deserve everything that we can help them with. And that's very sad that they don't have that. And I'm very upset by that. The other thing I would like to mention, if anybody is interested, there's a gentleman, and I think he's on YouTube or Rumble, but he was the youngest individual to ever join the Green Beret. And he now is basically a war correspondent, and he travels around the world, and he's paying attention to what's happening in countries that are now being taken over by the World Economic Forum, George Soros, whomever. And what has begun happening in the United States, particularly in Denver and in Chicago, is indicative of what has happened overseas. So anybody that is interested in what he has to say, he's very reputable. His name is Michael Yon, Y-O-N, and I suggest that you try and catch at least a couple of his videos. It's very informative and very sobering. The other thing I wanted to mention is that there is a website for the smart elections machines, and that is https://smartelections.us/ESS-problems. And you can go to that website, and that has a lot more information on it. And I would suggest that everybody start to pray for this country. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks, Michelle. I absolutely 100% agree with you that we should go back to paper ballots. I've seen enough testimony from experts in front of these committees that essentially prove that these electronic voting machines can be tampered.
There are a lot of people who are a lot smarter than I am that are saying this could be the last election we have.
I agree with you with respect to the veterans also. The billions of dollars that we're spending on people that came to this country illegally is shameful, in my opinion. So thank you, sir.
It's horrifying. I have family who have been in Denver, Colorado almost their whole lives, and I've asked them, okay, so really what is going on? And they said, there are 3 hotels, or I'm sorry, 3 apartment complexes that have been entirely taken over.
That's in Aurora,
Yeah, in Aurora.
right?
It's 20 minutes south of Denver, I think. And the same thing is happening and been happening in Chicago. They just haven't
Yeah.
publicized it.
This is just the beginning,
Oh, yeah,
okay, in my opinion,
yeah.
based upon the numbers.
I've seen things in the village that are kind of shocking, so. Thank you, though.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you.
Okay.
I know there's no one else signed in, but I think that, that
yeah.
Ms. Doug Pucci, who came in a little bit late, did you want to speak to anything?
Well,
Go ahead,
yeah, I mean,
but you have to get up to the podium
I'm
and
coming,
tell us who you are and where you live and,
I'm really afraid of microphones, you know that, right?
well, yeah, right, mhm, yes.
That one has a smiley face on it.
Hi, guys. I'm Doug Pucci, a longtime village resident and town of Webster resident, and a member of the Red Hot Blue Band. And every year, well, past 4 years, we've hosted a St. Jude Children's Hospital benefit at the gazebo in September, because September is Child Cancer Awareness Month. Well, last year, it was going along pretty good, but last year it got really dicey. It was raining all day. It put a lot of stress on the food trucks. It put a lot of stress on the bands that played with us that day, set up and tear down. And we said that we have to be very conscious of the weather, because we can't have that happen again. God bless the kids, but we can't have that happen again. So, all indications are that Saturday is not going to be a very good day. I contacted Glenn Johnson, Stacy Pajian, Kevin, what's Kevin's last name? The other weatherman? Yeah, that's him. And they all said, you know, you're taking a chance. So we erred on the side of caution and decided to cancel the benefit this Saturday. We made, this was a Webster bid event, okay, sponsored by Webster bid. We made sure that they were they're aware of it. I will let the village know tomorrow. We posted on the Webster bid website. We also posted on Webster Where Life is Worth Living and the village website, letting everyone know of the cancellation. And we just, we're sad about this. But, we'll persevere, and we'll make this happen again. But it was good that, I had a couple of seconds to tell you guys, because, we appreciate the undying support of the town of Webster, the village of Webster, Webster bid, and, all the village businesses that support this event. So, thank you very much, and, onward and upward, we'll try again next year, I guess.
Well, Doug, thank you and all your band members for what you do for that event. I know my husband was supposed to play for an event in Sackett's Harbor, and they also canceled it for Saturday, so it was to benefit the Historical Society. Everyone, it's just not fun in the rain, but in the future, is there any way that you could have an alternative site and perhaps hold it in the Grange indoors?
Yeah, I don't,
Maybe for next year?
I don't have to go back up there.
No,
No, you don't, no.
we won't put you through that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility.
Might want to think about an alternative site, because, boy, we can't rely on the weather around here
I
at all.
know, we really can.
Yeah.
The last couple of years has been really bad.
Right.
Really bad as far as trying to predict the weather. But, we put a URL on the Webster pages to let people know they can still donate.
Perfect.
Just hit the button, it'll pop up, red, hot, and blue, in friends, and click the
Great.
button, and it'll go right directly to St. Jude. So,
Fantastic.
okay?
Thank you for that.
Sure thing, yep.
You're a good salesperson, Patty. You've gotten 2 more speakers. Do we go for, anybody else?
Sometimes it's important to know when you've been successful and stop.
Yeah, leave and stop in your heads. Yeah, I don't know how to do that too, I see. Yeah.
So let's move on.
Okay, so next up, this is the first time I've seen this. We have 2 meeting minutes to approve, and they're both on the same night.
Yes?
Because on August 15th is the start of our new schematic, where we do workshops at 6:30, and then the town board meeting at 7:30. So, I make a motion that we approve the August 15th workshop minutes. Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
And for people that didn't attend or watch these 2 meetings, the workshop was about an hour and 15 minutes. I think the board meeting that night was the shortest during my tenure as supervisor. John, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so those, I don't even know if those were meeting minutes, those were meeting seconds. So to speak. I make a motion that we approve the August 15th, 2024 regular town board meeting minutes.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
James, is you?
No, it was me.
How did I miss that?
I don't know.
I've been playing hooky.
You need to put it in your folder like I have it in my folder.
I might have it.
It is my month to review the bills, and I was in yesterday and looked over all of those, and I would make a motion that we approve the bills and pay them.
Second. Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright. Aye. Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
And then I reviewed the prepaid warrants as submitted by Paul Adams, our Director of Finance, and I make a motion to approve those.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn. Aye. Councilwoman Wright. Aye.
And I've also reviewed purchase orders as submitted by Paul Adams, the Director of Finance, and make a motion to approve those.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilman Wynn,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilman Wright. Aye.
Paul, the next 2 are kind of your bailiwick. I know that you get these the details of these out to the board members days in advance.
I do.
Anything special to talk about?
Sure,
in this?
couple comments. Yeah, the next two resolutions, one is for 2024 budget transfers. The highlights of that are to cover some legal expenses, we did some off-road drainage work, and we did some heavy cleaning of one of the lines out of the sewer plant. Also, the police department used some of the prime proceeds to purchase software, ballistics, and also running an electric service out to their shooting range, which is located at the wastewater treatment plant. So those are the highlights for the transfers. On the amendment side, we're expanding the general townwide budget to cover additional expenses incurred by the recreation programs. With that comes additional revenue. So we're basically expanding revenue, expanding expense. So Chris Biles done a great job adding programs, which has driven a lot of revenue for the town. And secondly, the general part-town fund. Due to Fairlife, we've hired a number of consultants to help us along the way on the engineering side. And so we're expanding the budget to offset those costs. And we're also expanding revenue because we received in total about $1.7 million from Fairlife to cover such costs. So we're just matching them up in the part-time.
Okay, any questions?
No.
Well, actually, John, this is your department. Think, right? He's on the finance.
I would move that we approve the budget amendments as presented by the Director of Finance.
Second. Supervisor Flaherty?
Let's do
Oh,
that.
sorry. Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilman Wynn? Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilwoman Ray?
Aye.
I think you did that out of order. We did the amendments before the transfers, and they're two separate.
Okay.
I think,
John, do you want?
we didn't
Yeah, I'll
do
do
four,
that. I'll
we
do
just
that.
did five.
Right. So I'll move that we approve the budget transfers as presented by the Director of Finance.
Second. Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilwoman Ray?
Aye.
And I apologize, you know what, it's funny, this was an idea that Jennifer, you brought
Yeah.
to the table, and I think it's a great one, but I haven't formally said, hey, let's adopt this. So I think I just blindsided John. He is the liaison to finance. Okay. Well, it went okay, John. I thought it was good. Well, the next one, I think Rick Canale, you might be able to, from the sewer department, and Charlie, because I know you've been involved with the state on these things. So I'll let you guys fight it out. One of you want to explain this, or both of you?
Well, I'll just say this is something that started a good 2+ years ago. Residents of, well, actually, a couple of different areas. This is for the Woodard Road extension to sewer district. It's only, I think, 6 properties that we're talking about. The residents wish to have sewer extended to them, and it's been before the town board, I think, 5 or 6 times. And we've had problems, not with the board, not with our engineers, not certainly not with the residents, but we had problems with the controller's office.
Oh, New York State.
Yes, yes. And so anyway, myself and Mary Ann Lamb with the sewer department in particular have been on numerous, probably a dozen calls with them, and numerous revisions and submitting documents, etc. Bottom line, this is hopefully the final proposed resolution. And we're going to set a public hearing for hopefully October the 3rd, and hopefully it will be passed, and we can begin construction of the sewer district.
Charlie, you know, there's an old saying that an attorney doesn't ask a question that they don't know the answer. So along those lines, I should make a comment that I don't know is accurate, but I'm gonna throw it out. This situation, in layman terms, is we got people in Webster that are on septic, and they want to get onto our sanitary services. If you think about it this way, you know, in our budget in 2025, it cost them $253 on their tax bill to have that, have their sewage go into our mains and to our treatment plant. They're facing maybe having to replace their septic tanks. This is going to cost $20,000, $30,000. And I don't think really in the market for selling houses, septics might have been something that was great years ago, but it certainly is better to have a house that has got a sanitary sewer system. So the town is trying to work with these people to help them get onto our sewer system. We found out through this process, and this is where I'm going to take a risk here, that New York State has a law or a code or whatever that if the cost per household to do that is over $700, something like that.
Oh, it's actually a lot less, right? Isn't it, Rick?
Yeah, our head in particular is on that.
Yes, it has to do.
But it hasn't been changed in 50 years.
Actually, it was reduced, I believe.
Yeah.
It has to do with, there's a certain dollar threshold, very small. And if we don't, if we go over that, we have to seek approval of
The state.
state control.
Now, I want everybody to think about that
And
for a second.
they have held this, well, I'm gonna say, they've held it
Yeah.
up, to be honest.
Yeah.
They've not given permission, and Paul's been very instrumental in this too, by the way, I don't want to neglect him.
Is this probably salt in the wound, by the way, that very such? Because, I mean, this is
There were two,
ridiculous.
actually, there was another district where the people have, we will get into that
Yeah.
another time,
Yeah.
that they have basically withdrawn their
Yes.
application because it's taken so long, they've now invested tens of thousands in new septic systems.
Yes.
This, which was supposed to have been done in 2022.
Yeah.
Hadn't been done yet.
I was going to ask that question because I know that there was one of the residents, probably in the district you're discussing, who had written a letter to Webster Herald and was
Correct.
very concerned
Yes.
with the increased cost, which of course the town can't do anything about. We've been trying to move this forward for them, and it's. we're not
If I were
getting
the member of the public, I'd be very upset, probably with the town, because it's hard to explain why we can't do this, when we really have done everything. The personnel of the town really worked very, very hard to get this done. Everybody in sewer, everybody in finance, we really worked very, very diligently. And our, in Costage, our engineers who've been involved in this.
Well, and, I mean, I don't want to beat a dead horse in this, but the sad part about it is, and Rick, you might be able to comment on this, is that the one that's here is maybe 6 houses. The one that withdrew was like 4 houses, because they've been through this
Right.
rigmarole. There's a couple other areas in town that would be 40, 50, or 60 houses, and we've said we don't want to move forward with that process and put them through this same nightmare until we get it resolved on these ones, which is leaving them in purgatory as they decide, well, wait a minute, my septic is about to rot, I'd like to get onto your sewer system. And it's really crazy, it really is. Because we'd love them on our sewer system, right? I mean, it's good for everybody, it's a win-win.
Sure.
And, anyway. So
this is the sewer department. I would move that we set a public hearing on October 3rd, 2024, to consider an addition to the Consolidated Sanitary Sewer District, specifically the Woodard Road Extension, to be published in the Webster Herald in the September 18th, 2024 edition.
Second. Councilman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Nguyen. Aye. Supervisor Flaherty,
I,
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
I think we're still on
It's a
sewer.
big night for the sewer department.
Yes, it is.
The next is a resolution for which we held a public hearing earlier. I would move that the town board of the town of Webster, Monroe County, New York, pursuant to section 202-B of the town law, determining that it is in the public interest to undertake certain improvements to the town of Webster Consolidated Sewer District, consisting of the Water Pollution Control Facility Asset Renewal Project and the Water Resource Recovery Facility improvements.
Second?
Councilwoman Crisaldi.
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilman Quinn.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
The next is also the sewer plant, and this is direct, also in part B, perhaps, of the public hearing. I'm told that the resolution number 7 was mere formality, and now we're really going to get into it. In this resolution, I move to amend the July 2023 $81.5 million bond resolution on the sewer plant to reflect the total project cost of $87.3 million. But before we move into the vote, I want everyone out there to know that because we're looking at the total project cost of $87.3 million, that doesn't mean we're spending that. That is the limit that we can spend to without going through this process again. And again, I would reiterate what I said earlier, that the town board, we will all be looking at that very closely as we move into signing that next amendment. We are not committing to spending 87.3, nor are we bonding 81.5 million. That's what we went out for initially, but since we've received a $20 million grant, thank you, I'm losing words here, $20 million grant, we're actually looking at probably bonding 66 million on this project. So, yes, so that is my motion.
Second.
Councilwoman Crisaldi.
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilman Quinn.
Before I vote on this one, I just wanna, can I speak a little bit?
Sure.
Okay, I just would like to let people know that, sometimes you have to look at life as positive, and, look at, the glasses half full, not half empty. And this is the biggest investment that we have for our town, and it will bring jobs and revenues, to our community, and also to the Fair Lake, and the state of New York and Rita and the county of Monroe and Industry. They invested $600 million on this project already, and I know that, we would not want it to vote no on the project because it's, the $6 million upgrade is only 1% of the total cost of the project. So sometimes the rate of good is outweigh, the bad. So I would vote yes on it.
Councilman Wright.
Similar to Jenny, I had some concerns about the additional money for this project. I am the newest member of the board, so a lot of this work had been done and a lot of the financials I think were gone through with a fine-tooth comb at the time, or maybe not with a fine-tooth comb, because the board was under an awful lot of pressure to come up with an estimate for this project to be able to receive that $20 million grant, as I understand it. And at one point, this project may have even been pushing $90 million, and the work that Patty and Tom did was helping to push that number down and make it more affordable to the town. Last week in the meeting, we were talking about this and talked about a contingency or having a contingency, and I don't know, technically, if the number came in at 90 million additionally, we wouldn't even be having this conversation right now. But what's very important is what Patty said, is just because it's being increased to 87 million doesn't mean we're gonna spend 87 million. I think that's very important to understand. And we are going to work very diligently on the third amendment to do whatever is in our control to keep this project moving forward and to make it affordable for the town of Webster. So for those reasons, similar to Ginny, moving Fair Lake forward, it's very important that we vote yes to get this project done. So, aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Well, my comments are quite similar to yours, Jennifer, and I know, we spent some time meeting with the representatives of the sewage treatment plant this week, and we subsequently have submitted a number of questions related to the project and some of the processes involved that got us to where we are today. And we will be looking very hard at amendment number 3 in conjunction with the Fairlight contract itself. I have a number of questions related to the construction, because some of the processes that were undertaken are not the same processes that we utilize in commercial construction. And I work on projects, not 87.3 million, but a couple of my projects are well over $1 million. So that being said, we do need to continue, because to vote no basically put this project to a halt. And that would not be good for the town, would not be good for Fairlight. So at this time, I'm voting yes, but amendment number 3, as Jennifer mentioned, will be scrutinized. So to look to see where we can reduce costs.
Thank you. As we get to the last couple of resolutions on the agenda tonight, this is a sewer department wastewater recovery, Coke, Fairlife, and 2025 budget night. It's quite the night of resolutions. The interesting thing about Councilwoman Wright and Councilman Cahill's comments about this third amendment with Navitas, our energy performance contractor. First of all, I couldn't agree with them more, that we need to really roll up our sleeves and make sure that we do the best for the town on that. Heretofore, we have done $61.5 million in contract on this project with Navitas, and that's the original contract from June of 2023 that was voted on by this board. The first amendment for $20 million on November 16, 2023. And then the final amendment, or the second amendment, was in March of 2024 for slightly over $1 million, to bring us to approximately $61.5 million. The third amendment is basically, that's it. That'll be the final contract. So this is our one and only and last chance to make sure that we do best for the town citizens and taxpayers on that. And I certainly expect over the next 4 to 8 weeks, or however long that process takes, that I know this, I'm going to tap into the talents we have on this board, the talents we have in the department heads. As John just said, of anybody on this board, he's got construction experience in spades. Well, this is a construction project. I'm going to be leaning on him to look at things that this guy, who's a mortgage accountant, wouldn't know about in the construction world. Jennifer's experience professionally in business, leaned on. Jenny, what you've done professionally in your life. Patty and I have been involved in a lot of this, but I'm looking forward to that involvement from the rest of the board, because interestingly enough, I think since the middle of 2021, and Michelle Anderson brought it up earlier that she was disappointed that the village opted to not join with the town. That was in June of 21. The town then had to say, okay, we need to move on. We need to move on with our sewer plant project. And amazingly enough, I think we've done over 80 resolutions in the last 4 years tied to that sewer plant project, tied to the Navitas contract, tied to Coke Fairlight. That's a lot of resolutions. I mean, this is amazing how this has just evolved over the last 3+ years. And interestingly enough, we're down to the last 3 resolutions. you got the two that we're about to vote on, and then sometime in the next 4 to 8 weeks will be the resolution, God willing, to authorize the supervisor to sign the third and final amendment with Navitas to finish out the contract. So we're at the altar, but as John and Jennifer said, you know, before we put the rings on each other's fingers, this is our one chance to make sure that this is the right schematic for everybody involved. Now, I'm sorry if I'm running my mouth on, but I gotta tell you, I can't believe that this number 9 and number 10, these two, which really I almost need to defer to Patty on because she is the liaison of the sewer. But I think it's fair to mention that when Project Izzo, which was mentioned earlier, that was the code name of Coke Fairlife when they were very secretive in 2022 and 2023, and they had to be, because they were in 12 different states in the Northeast at 42 potential sites to build the largest dairy production facility in the world. And because of that, they can't let towns like us know that, hey, we're Coke. Because if they did, and they let the other 41 towns know that, can you imagine the media frenzy and all that? So they keep it very secret. They called it Project Izzo. They came to us, and they came to 41 other towns, and they basically asked for a lot of information to see if we could accommodate their plan. And it ran the gamut. I think the fact that our sewer plant, 2 miles from their site, had new technology really enamored them. And Rick, I think you would agree with that too. The proximity to sewer, a dairy plant like this, which is going to put up to 2 million gallons a day into our sanitary sewer system. To give some perspective on that, right now our sanitary sewer system for the town does about 3.1 million gallons a day. Coke will do 2 million. They will be 35 to 45% of the total volume that goes into that system, barring any other additional development that goes into it. So a lot of factors played into why they narrowed 42 sites in 12 states down to little old Webster. And in that process, they came to us in March of 2023. 2 months before they decided to come here. And they said, we want to get ahead of this just in case we do pick you, and we're going to have this pipe. I mean, a big pipe coming from the plant over to Phillips Road, 12,000 feet, right? So we want to start talking about how that's going to be paid for. And they also said, you know, obviously if we come in, you know, and we bring that kind of volume in, your plant that you're building, which for DEC purposes has a maximum of 5 million gallons a day. 5 million gallons a day, DEC maximum is not going to work if they bring 2 million gallons. Is that correct, Rick?
It would usurp the rest of our capacity.
Correct. And the DEC, they would say that's not, you know, whatever. So we're like, okay, well, we need to figure out how much you're going to pay Coke for us to make the plant larger, and that obviously comes through our tie-in fees per our code. It's funny because we started that conversation in March of 2023, and here we are 18 months later, and after a lot of negotiation with a lot of attorneys, Charlie, and a lot of muckety-mucks at Coke, Fairlife, and whatever. And just to give you some perspective, if you look at me and my gray hair, I'm 29 years old, all right? You should have saw me 18 months ago when we started this process. I look a lot different. And, all jokes aside, thank you for indulging and letting me talk for the last couple of minutes, because I'm really amazed, to tell you the truth, that we're at the finish line on these 2 contracts. Charlie, you were there. You know, these have been tough. When you're negotiating with a company as large as Coke Fairlife. Now, to their credit, I think they were very honorable in it, but they certainly wanted to exercise their power and strength and leverage. And there were times during that process that the Pauls and the Charlies and our outsourced attorneys through Harris Beach, and we had to stand our ground on things, and we wondered, are we killing the golden goose? Are we pushing too hard on this? And I'm glad we did. It's easy to sit here in hindsight now and say it all worked out. But while we were in the middle of that, I didn't know if it was going to work out. So
And also,
I'll get off my soapbox, Patty.
No, it's okay, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I also want to acknowledge that there were board members along the way, and some who are no longer on the board, and some of us who are here were just, well, I can't possibly vote for whatever it was we're voting on until we see that contract. And it was very difficult along the way because we were working diligently on that contract, but we knew that we couldn't get it done that quickly. So the fact that we are here tonight with 2 contracts before us, I think is certainly wonderful, somewhat miraculous given all that it's been through. But I think we're all feeling a whole lot better about all the decisions that have been made along the way now that we have these contracts that really will protect the town.
And Patty, to sum it up, and I'll let you take over the first one that we're going to consider voting on is the conveyance pipe. 12,000 linear feet that leaves Koch's plant over on Tibor Road and meanders through the Xerox campus and goes over to a humongous trunk line, they call them, right? Rick on Phillips Road. And through that process, what started very simple in March of 23 is that, Koch can pay for that whole thing because it's being built specifically for them. That's how they came at us. We said, well, that's cool, and certainly we're going to want you to pay for it, but what good is a pipe that we can't lateral into as redevelopment happens on the Xerox campus, as housing developments potentially pop up and want to lateral in? So I really give a lot of credit to this town board, to Rick, to the engineers at Costage, to Paul, to everybody who said, well, let's bid this out as what Koch said, just a pipe that takes their volume. But then how much it would have cost if we took the volume up a little bit so we had some excess there for us? And it was actually a pretty minor amount of money relative to the whole project. To give you some perspective, it's 2 million gallons a day going through this pipe for Koch, but they're paying about $6.5 million for that. We're paying, as a town, $400,000 for an additional 800,000 gallons a day. So I don't want to lose everybody in the numbers, but they're paying $6.5 million for 2 million gallons a day. The additional 800,000 to the pipes going out only costs the town 400,000. Now, I don't want to say 400,000 is a little bit amount of money, but it ends up being less than 10% of the whole project, and we up the size of the pipe by almost 40%. Now, as Xerox redevelops or housing units go onto that, if that 800,000 gallons gets filled up by new housing developments in Xerox, the one-time revenue to the town will be about $5 million. So that decision was made and discussed here months ago. It's one of those 80 resolutions that we've done in this process. And I think that was a very smart move on our part. And it took a lot of us, it took a team to really put that together. So that's the story behind the, if you want to call it the conveyance pipe. The next one is a shorter story because we always knew the mechanism of the one-time tie-in fee. It's in our code, right, Charlie?
It is now.
But it didn't, no, it's always been in our code. A one-time tie-in fee has always been in our code. Your house wants to get onto our sewer system, it costs $1,000, one time to tie into our system. But we never had any components of that code that recognized a large industrial user. And I think a large industrial user fits the bill of Koch Fairlife, considering they are going to be 40% potentially of the flow into our sewer system. So the attorneys, once again, we got in, and Paul, you were incredibly instrumental on this, and said, well, how do we rewrite the code to acknowledge, recognize not only this industrial user, but having the foresight that in 3, 4, 10 years, maybe on one of those 80-acre campuses on Xerox, another large industrial user comes. We wanted to make sure we wrote that code that had vision not just to the Coke deal, but to other deals that might happen when Xerox essentially could be redeveloped. And I was really proud about how that all went down. It had some bumps. We had 2 public hearings because we canceled the schematic at first because we looked and redid the map and said, no, this has got problems. Let's scrap it. We came back. And that resulted in what essentially is about $21.9 million that Coke is paying us on that one-time tie-in fee. Okay. You've let me indulge.
Do you have any more you want to add to the story?
No, I don't.
Kept up? Okay.
Honestly, you know, come on.
So I would move to authorize,
Don't open that door.
I'm sorry. I would move to authorize the town supervisor to sign a contract with Coke Fairlife on a 10-year payment plan on a 12,000 linear foot conveyance pipe upsize from Tibor Road to Phillips Road trunk line.
Second. Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilman Wynn. Aye. Councilwoman Wright.
Aye. The next is, I would move to authorize the town supervisor to sign a contract with Coke Fairlife on a 10-year payment plan on a one-time tie-in fee to the town sanitary sewer system.
Second.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright,
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilman Wynn. Aye. Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
John, I consider this finance, so this is going to be yours, but, you know, Paul, do you have any words on this? I mean, we have that handout that we gave to the crowd. It kind of really sums up our preliminary
It really does. Yeah, the next resolution, is in compliance with town law sections 106 through 108. The tentative town budget for 2025 was presented to the town clerk last week. So now the town board is going to vote on a resolution. If passed, will make the tentative budget the preliminary budget, which is subject to a public hearing, which is currently scheduled for October 17th at 7:30 p.m. So it's a bit of a procedural thing, but it takes us a step closer to having a finalized budget, and basically locks in the numbers from now until October 17th.
Thanks, Paul, appreciate that. So I would move to approve the 2025 Town of Webster tentative budget as presented by the town clerk for the purposes of making it the 2025 Town of Webster preliminary budget, which will be subject to a public hearing prior to adoption of the final 2025 budget.
Second. Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilman Wynn. Aye. Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilman Wright.
Aye.
Well, John, I said 3 weeks ago it was the shortest board meeting of all time. This will not be the longest board meeting, depending upon how your round table goes. So we'll start for our round table tonight with Rick. Anything to say?
Yeah, actually, I'd like to say a couple things, but first, I want to say that through this whole process, in my prior life, I was at another municipality as chief operator and had to do a lot of legislations and present to the board, the town council, or city council. And I gotta say, the engagement of this board, from when I started, from the previous two, Barry and sorry.
It's okay.
Well, and with the new ones, that I had many legislators go in front of the board, town in Rome, and no one ever even came down to the town. They were voting on legislation that they really didn't seem to be involved in. The involvement has been welcoming, it keeps us on our toes, it also helps projects move forward and stay efficient. So I just want to commend everybody on the board for the involvement and the interest in our facility. It is usually with the forgotten ones.
To that note,
complaint.
Rick, I just want to also, you know, we've had some meetings and they were at times very uncomfortable. But one of the things that I've taken away from the meetings with yourself and Art and others was the candidness in your responses. And there's nothing that I appreciate more than when I'm asking direct questions that I get direct answers. Even if I don't like the answers, there's no dancing around. There's no finger pointing, okay? I'll ask a direct question, I'll get a direct answer, and I truly, truly respect that out of you and your staff. And so thank you for that also.
You're welcome. And appreciate that. The other thing is just that as we've talked about the cost of doing business, and a lot of this has been obviously economics of running a wastewater plant. We have, again, we talked tonight about the two plants not consolidated. Unfortunately, yes, but both plants needed upgrading and were outdated, and both staffs on both facilities are doing the best to keep these things up and running with what they have. But I did hear when the village was voting on their upgrade to pass that, what the cost of that was. The lead engineer actually brought up some interesting points. It kind of brings us back to our 81.5 back in 2023 to 87 now. A lot of factors to that, and we are going to dig further into that. But he brought up that from 2021 to 2025 now, or 24, inflation and the cost of construction doing business has gone up for almost 15%. The sad thing is we're doing it at the worst time, but and theirs went up 4.5% from March of last year to now. Ours went up a little more than that. But it's what's going on in the industry, the cost of doing business, inflation rates. But what's great about ours is our return on investment in this project and actually lowering sewer rates. Thanks.
And one of the exceptional things as far as foresight goes that differentiates our plant from the village's plant is our dryer building. So we're not going to see up to $500,000 per year of sludge hauling at a time when a lot of these landfills in short order will not be accepting sludge. So, I mean, that's the type of foresight that your team had, so you'd be commended for that. And that obviously led into some of the upcharges, but we'll be deriving some saving revenue and deriving revenue, so it's good to point that out also.
All right, well, I'm very pleased that we're a step closer to having both of the Coca-Cola agreements signed and put to bed. The conveyance pipe agreement is going to be, for that project, which will be about $6.5 million, as Tom said, will be paid for 96% by Coca-Cola Fairlight, so they'll be paying the principal and interest on that taxable bond over a 10-year period. And the other agreement for the entrance fee, which is over $21 million, that'll also be paid over 10 years. So between the two of them, you got almost $3 million of revenue just from those two agreements, which starts in 2025. So it's in the 2025 budget, and we'll move forward from there. So it was a big help in helping us to balance the budget and keep it on the tax cap for 25.
Can I just add one more thing there? I'm sorry, I thought I was done, but usually don't say much of these.
Rick never gets a chance to speak, but Art's got it, and he's gonna talk.
That's right, I got the floor. We're neglecting to say that we will be getting revenue off of the 2 million gallons that they'll be discharging to us daily, on top of all of these fees we're talking about.
Correct.
And also, because of steps we've taken to increase our digester size and that, we'll be taking in their high-strength waste, which is another revenue stream for us. So these are also revenue streams, not just these two legislations, but also other things that we'll be getting from them annually.
It's substantial.
Yes.
Thank you.
No.
Jennifer?
Yeah, we didn't really get into that when we did the conversation, the ROI, but we appreciate that being put together because there definitely is quite a positive return on investment for the additional cost, which again, we're going to talk about more in the coming weeks. But that aside, the Garlic Festival is this weekend in the town of Webster. Ginny, I hope I'm not stealing your thunder on the Garlic Festival.
I think you just did.
Okay, good. And I hope Webster residents will attend. It's a great event. There are food trucks, there's crafts, and there's food. And I don't know if I'm allowed to do free advertising for myself for the millions of people who are watching, but I will have a booth there with my father's sauce. So if anybody wants to come buy sauce.
What's the brand called?
The Sozio sauce will have a booth in a prominent location at the Garlic Festival this weekend, and I hope to see you there.
It is good sauce. Speaking.
And John's my #1 customer and fan.
Shocking.
Yeah. Right. Unless I have beef sauce, because I know the guys.
Yeah.
I think I've probably had enough to say tonight, but I do have a question, possibly for Bridget. When I referenced the handout that people who are here tonight received, is this going to be put up on our website?
Yeah, it's already there.
It's already there. Of course it's already there. Thank you, Bridget. I appreciate that. Ginny, I'm not going to steal your thunder because I'm sure you have more to say about the Garlic Fest, but I do want to also let people know that that festival is a fundraiser for the Wreaths Across America.
And for the veterans too.
Yes, exactly.
Who's the mother and,
I'll let you take it from there.
no, Charlie, you go.
I don't have anything to say other than it's very gratifying to have these resolutions completed tonight. That's all.
Yeah. Amen. Jenny?
Okay, first of all, like always, please come out and support our library and our Webster Museum. They existed because of you. And also come out, with the Webster Garlic Fest on Saturday and Sunday. And like I said, I don't want to grandstand or anything either, I advertise myself, but there will be crowning queen and king. And guess who's the queen? So, John, come out and
Easy.
please come out and support because it's very good, charity benefits for our veterans. I wouldn't be here without their sacrifice, so my family is deeply appreciate everything they've done. So therefore, when there anything that I can do to help, I would love to volunteer, so I will be there Saturday and Sunday. And there's more information on the website. Also to the 9/11 remembrance in the village of Webster, please come out and pay respect for our fallen heroes on 9/11. And another thing I would like to say is we may have our different views on policy and in politics, but at the end of the day, we're all Americans. We should be thankful for living in this wonderful country and in this community that we're living in. So I appreciate it, I know you are. Therefore, we all try to make the best. We're all friends. And God bless America.
Thanks, Jenny. John? No. Are you going to filibuster now for 3 hours?
No. My name's John, not Tom.
We're punchy tonight, aren't we?
A little bit, yeah.
A little punchy here.
You get up at 4 a.m., so by this time it's a little late. So I just wanted to mention that there's another festival that's being held at the Fireman's Field. It's called the Barry's Irish Festival. And there's going to be a lot going on over there.
Oh, yeah. Saturday?
Yeah. We're celebrating my birthday that day.
What's your birthday?
Today.
Today?
Ah.
Happy birthday!
To you, happy birthday to
you.
you. Happy birthday, dear John. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. We're not going to do that. How old are you now? Anything else, birthday boy?
No, I'm all set.
Well, you'll be happy to know it ends with Deneen because I'm not going to say anything. Deneen, I know what she's going to say.
Yes, school tax payment is upon us. There's multiple ways that you can make a payment by mail, using the town's drop box that's in the front vestibule. You can pay it online through the Monroe County County's payment portal, or you can pay in person at the Webster Town Hall between 8:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Thank you, Denise.
Thank you.
Your first tax season, you having fun?
Yes, it's very exciting here.
Yeah.
It's very busy.
Well, without further ado, this meeting is adjourned.
Bob texted.
Oh, yeah, I told you.
Right off, you inserted 822, the second quarter of something you don't watch. Good, how are you?